We're going to be talking about money. Money, money, money. Money makes you funny. And I'm just kidding. Tonight, we're going to be talking about money mistakes. To money mistakes to avoid. I've got 7 points on money mistakes that I believe is going to help you, as well as how to avoid them. Okay. So there's a lot of mistakes that we all know that we make, and I'd like to start off this particular series by just acknowledging that we all make mistakes, acknowledging that there's money mistakes that we can avoid as best we can for where we are. So I want to start off with a young story, right? And I'd love that you follow me in this particular story to see where I'm going to it. So one morning, Genevieve gets up on day one, says, let's call it tomorrow. Let's call it Monday. Monday, Genevieve gets up and Genevieve decides she's going to the shop. And she walks down the road to go to the shop. And she turns left and she falls into a hole. When she falls into a hole, she lands kicking, screaming, like, oh, what the heck just happened? I didn't see that coming. I've got bruises on my body. And I'm like, really? What the heck was that all about? And generally what happens is, just like Genevieve that fell into the hole, the first time something happens, we have this moment about it. We stand and we sit and we hana and we go on about a whole lot of stuff. But you see, what's interesting is that here's Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, Genevieve gets up, she has a bath, she decides she's going to the shop, and Genevieve walks down the road. And then she turns left, poof, she falls into the hole. She's like, oh, dang it, I'm back here again. But no use that I'm going to stand here for too long to complain. But here's my 5-cent piece anyway, and I complain. Day 3, Genevieve gets up, she decides to go to the shop. And when she goes to the shop, she walks down the road, she turns left. However, because she's fallen into this hole not once, but twice, she decides she's going to walk around this hole. When she walks around this hole, it's like, yeah, baby, I see you. And I keep going and I go to the shop. Day 4, I get up, I go to the shop, I walk down the street, I turn left, I look at that hole again, I avoid that hole and I keep going. And then comes day 5. Day 5, I get up, I go to the shop, I walk down the road. This time, I don't turn left, I turn right. What did I do on day 5? I decided I fell into the hole and I fell into the hole and I avoided the hole and I avoided the hole. And then I changed my game plan and I turned right. And this is what I believe happens to many of us in our relationship with money. Everything that we know about money, we tend to do similar things, right? Much like what we know with relationships, yada, yada. But the one thing I believe in this story is that we need to first acknowledge where we are before going to a certain destination. And I'll give you another analogy is that, the first day I walked down the road, I turned left and I fell into the hole. I stood there for a long time complaining. But the second day I complained, but I didn't do that much. Somebody helped me out of the hole. The third day I decided I'm walking around the hole. And I want you to think about this. Before we know, or rather when we decide we want to go somewhere, right? Let's do this. Before we decide we want to go somewhere, we must first notice where we are. So if I want to go to London tomorrow, I need to understand where I am today. Why? Because there is the departure point and there is my destination. And if I decide I'm going to London, which is my destination, if I go and I book a ticket from Durban to London, am I actually going to get there if I'm sitting in Johannesburg? So I need to first acknowledge where I am. And in the analogy of the story, day 1, 2, 3, and 4, I was doing the same thing over and over until I acknowledged where I was. But day 5, I turned right, which then meant I'm going to do something different. And when I do something different, I may know where I'm going to because I'm setting the intention to get to somewhere. And this is what I believe we have is this sort of relationship we have with money, because some of the mistakes that we make in money or with money are so like, duh, I should have known that. We beat ourselves up But just like day one, you beat yourself up, somebody's going to pull you out. Day two, you beat yourself up, but you're not going to do it too much. But day three, you try to avoid it, you do. Day four, you avoid it and you do. But day five, you change your strategy. And that really is what the money series is about, is can we acknowledge where we are so that we can take our flight from Joburg to London instead of just saying, I want to get to London, but you don't have a freaking clue on where you are, which is Joburg. And how much sense does it make to book your ticket from Durban to London when you are in Joburg? So I trust that that analogy makes sense. And if that's something that actually makes sense, whether you're on the live stream or whether you're watching this, as a normal video on my channel, I would love that you gently hit on the like button, because I quite like that perspective. So welcome to my channel. That was a mouthful to welcome you to my channel. My name is Genevieve Stafford-Jack, where we learn, achieve, and build. And this is what we do in life. Tonight, we're talking about adulting. How best could we avoid some of these money mistakes that we make? And so let's just throw some light on some of the money mistakes that we make. I believe, especially as an entrepreneur on this side of life, 4 years ago, I thought or should I say 3 years ago, 4 years would be March next year. I thought in 30-day cycles. So I want to ask you, do you think in 30-day cycles? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you think in 30-day cycles? And what do I mean by that? This is what I mean. We go to work, we do what we need to do, and then we get paid the last day of the month. And we rinse repeat that from January to December. So every 30 days, we're going to get our reward for going to work, which is our salary. And therefore, if we are buying some stuff, we start calculating how many days between now and month end. That is a 30-day cycle. When I got into entrepreneurship, I had to come think with the program, like, if I'm going to be thinking like that, it just means I'm going to be creating the walls of my business and acting and working in my business as an employee, not setting up my business to run without me, right? So I'm going to be setting up a 30-day cycle, which is my 30-day jail cycle, if I could call it that. Look, I've got no issues with work. I still love freelancing from time to time and making some coin that way. There's no problem with working. Not all of us are designed to be business owners or entrepreneurs or to be in our own businesses. Think about the most magnificent people like doctors that are out there that are doing the most for us and that are really just, feeding into who we are as people. So there's a lot to be said about that, right? So this is really where I'm saying that all we need to do is get to this point where we do not think in 30-day cycles, which then leads me into point number 2. A money mistake to avoid is not having one income stream, but having more than one income stream. And it takes time to build up your income streams, because just think about it. Your second income stream, you then cash in on the 15th. And then your main income stream, you cash in on the 30-day. Now your brain is saying, hey, I don't only get money once a month, I get it twice a month. Now, what if you had to add a third income stream in there and start spacing out what your paydays look like? I wish I did a lot more of that when I was in the workplace, because I started realizing very quickly in my journey of life that I need to have more than one income stream. And I was quite successful in that. But I didn't avoid mistake number 1, which is thinking in 30-day cycles, because I thought if these other income streams don't happen, at least I get my salary. And that, again, is a survival mode of, if this doesn't happen, thank God I've got my salary. And again, nothing against the salary. I just really want to bring to our awareness that the mistakes that we make are often so deep rooted and we don't even realize that we make them. The third money mistake that I would love to touch on today is us doing the same thing over and over and over. Sometimes we get into our job and we think, oh no, this job is too much, man. Yeah, I like it, but hey, this environment, hey, this boss, oh, this hey, oh, this hey, you know. Some of us have that, but others are like, oh, I love my job. We all sing kumbaya here again. Both sides of the coin, I want us to be aware of this one thing that we do all the time. The thing that we keep going back to doing, whether we love our job or whether we don't love our job. What we tend to do is we get into this conditioning about our job. So here's an example, because you know me, I love examples. Now here we are. We've got this job. We love this job. The environment is wonderful. 6 months down the line, you're smashing the lights out. KPI time comes, your key performance indicators, and you're doing everything to get your raise. 9 months comes, things are just popping, and you just know that, you know what, my bonus is going to be looking mad. It's going to be looking dope. And then 12 months come, and then we get our increase and we get our bonuses, and we're like, woo, yeah, happy as life, right? And then we go and we upgrade our house, or we upgrade our car, or we go and upgrade something, right? Which then means this newfound extra money that's come in has gone into servicing a measure of the debt that you've just gotten into. Because after all, I've been working so hard this whole year, I deserve to upgrade my car. Did you not see my car, Jen? I needed a new car. And then we do the same thing next year. And then we do the same thing next year. And then we do the same thing next year. So avoid that trap. I know I got into that trap. And these are some of the things I don't regret, but I learned so much from. And if I can impart for you to get into a different state of thinking than I did, then I would believe that in my space as being an educator, as being a teacher, as being a coach, that I was able to implant something in your space that you're able to grow. So far we've covered 3 money mistakes that we can avoid. Quick one is 30-day cycles. Let's stop thinking in 30-day cycles. Can we create a second income stream, or another one, or another one, or another one, so that we can stop breaking this 30-day cycle, right? And then getting us into the worst rut by doing the same thing over and over and over, by upgrading every time we get extra income. These are the 3 that we've covered so far. And again, I would like to ask in this mini training, if this is something that appeals to you, hit on the like button. It will help the Facebook, the YouTube algorithm say, hey, YouTube, there's others that need to hear this message that I resonated with this chick. Now, the 4th money mistake to avoid, I believe, is trusting bad advice. We get into a space where we say, because our friend did it, I'm going to do it too. Sometimes our friends mislead us. Where are we sitting with that misled advice? Sometimes the people that we trust the most has embellished the truth. And therefore you ask yourself, do I trust this advice or not? So I'd love to encourage you is this: when somebody imparts something to you, I'm not saying doubt everything, but I want to encourage you to find a way or a means to start validating that information. Does it sound true? Ask that very person more information about what they've shared with you, so that tomorrow you don't get too excited or wrapped up in the next new idea. And this new idea is just like, and there you are excited about life, and boom, bad advice in your space. Why? Because you didn't listen to the whole story, or you listened to a half a story, or you listened to somebody that actually didn't give you the right guidance. That I know I've fallen into that trap again and again. I'm talking about a lot of the money mistakes because I've made them, or it's been in hindsight, or some days I just truly wish I was a little bit more clever. And then other days I'm thankful that in the current space that I'm in, I've taken it from that level of not knowing into this level of knowing, and then taken it to another level of saying, I got this ish down. I've got this ish down. When money comes in, I'm not thinking about could I upgrade. I'm thinking about where does this money, it's got a destination. Extra money has got a destination in my life. Money from different income streams have got a destination in my life. In fact, I make a joke often saying, people like myself, if we wouldn't win the lotto, why? Because the lotto is going to walk into a budget. And again, it's from some of the lessons that I learned that were hard lessons. And again, this is why I share with you, coming onto YouTube, sharing this, being vulnerable on my channel, actually putting my business out there, saying, you know what? If if I did this and you can do it better, can you not do it better and just be a better person in your conduct with your money relationship? Now, wanting to say, going on to the next one, right? So we've touched on the 30-day cycles. We've touched on doing the same things over and over. We've touched on your income stream. We've touched on bad advice. Now, wanting to say, being scared to take financial risks when you're younger. Some days I wish that what I did with the farm together with my husband, I wish I could have done it earlier. I wish I could have done it earlier. Why? Because the responsibility level was much lower. Yes, there was stuff that I still always had to be worried about. You know, before my husband was in the picture, I had my mom staying with me. My mom was sickly and she stayed with me, which then means I need to be cautious on my money. And so when she needs to go to the doctor and she needed some medical attention, I needed to be relevant and present. I'm not saying just ignore everything that you've got going on around you. But what I'm saying to you is some days when you are younger, there's less of this pressure. There's less of this, how could I call it? This thing of, I've got so much, hey, who's going to take care of where? And again, I'm not saying be complacent. I'm saying to you, at the end of the day, let's just be vigilant and let's take some of our risks when we're younger. And if we have to come back from some of our risks, let's then do that when we got the energy and we're not so doubtful and like in our misery and thinking, hey, we shouldn't have had of what, hey, and how, hey, you know. And again, now we are, that was number 5. And again, I'm wanting to say, don't be irresponsible, but I'm just saying some of the risks that we take today, being a little bit older, couldn't we have done it at a younger age? Another thing I'm wanting to share, I mean, yes, there's those times where you will hear about the Colonel KFC recipe. He went from door to door, door to door. How old was he when his stuff went viral, so to speak, when his recipe hit boundaries, not even, that he couldn't even comprehend when he was alive? I'm thinking if we had to wake up the Colonel from sleeping now and show him KFC as a brand worldwide, what would he think? I wonder what would he say. Maybe he'd say, I wonder if I started earlier, what would it look like? But when we really look into his story, he did start. He did start off with these ideas that people looked at him as if he was crazy. And it eventually evolved into the secret recipe that we all know about KFC. So 2 more points on the 7 things that or the 7 money mistakes I believe that we can avoid. And then I'll go on into solution mode on how best we can solution some of this relationship that we've got with money, because some of these things, it's just a relationship we have with money more than the actual physical thing of getting an income stream, avoid upgrading and things like that. The second to last thing is not being aware of you and your habits. The other day, I shared when I did the passive income video, I'll link it up here somewhere, where I was talking about sometimes we get into a space where we're not even aware of how we spend, and the small bits that we think it's just 20 Rand here or 25 Rand there or 30 Rand there, how it eventually lands up to be this huge amount of money over a period of time. So beware of the things, be aware of the things that you spend on. Be aware of some of the little traditions that you've created. I'm not saying mise yourself. I'm not saying be frugal to a point where you don't even enjoy life. Look, go out, have that burger, have that beer, have that Coke, have that whatever you're having, right? But be aware of what you are doing, because sometimes when we're not aware of what we're doing, we build a culture for ourselves. I had a cappuccino culture. My cappuccino culture was, baby, 9 o'clock, I'm standing in the line at the bus. Can we just be relevant and present? I had a cappuccino culture that if 9 o'clock I was having a meeting, I'm standing in the buzzer's queue at 10 to 9. Why? Because I got my laptop with me. I've just got my handbag with me. I'm getting my cappuccino, getting into the lift, going to my desk, leaving things in, walking to the meeting with my cappuccino. I created a cappuccino culture, and sometimes we don't realize some of these things that we create along the way. And these are the things that can literally pull us down if we are not aware of them. I'm not saying cut it out. I'm saying be aware of it, right? And last but certainly not least, in the money mistakes to avoid is dodging money responsibilities. Now, I'm sure some of you must be saying, dodging what, Jen? I'm calling it money responsibilities. Dodging money responsibilities, some will call it black tax, others will call it what? I don't know. I was used to calling it black tax. I still call it black tax. And in my life, it's still black tax. So some of the money responsibilities I would dodge thinking, this shouldn't be for this month. Can I just live life? And another part of me felt like if I dodge it, what then becomes of it? And fortunately, I made a good relationship thinking my mom is my everything. And she was the only parent that I had left because I lost my dad in 2005. And if I dodged doing anything for my mom, it wasn't a guilt trip I would put myself on. I would ask myself, if I'm dodging this, what am I dodging it for? So I want to say that sometimes we dodge certain money responsibilities. Sometimes you're together with your siblings and your sibling is doing the most, and you just think, that one's got money. It's okay. They can do such and such a thing for our parent or for our guardian or for our people or for our whatever, right? So just be aware of some of these money mistakes that we make, because when we don't honor where we've come from, I do believe that this is my personal belief. I do believe that we get to a place where we come from may not honor us in the long run. So I want to just quickly transition into saying this, right? Everything in our known world, our world of who we are, started as nothing, as no thing. It was just an idea. Just like the colonel, he had an idea to come up with this recipe to sell chicken, or chicken coated in certain spices that taste right. He had this idea. It started off with nothing. This a thought came from nothing. Just it was just something that was like, I wonder if I do 1, 2, 3, what would happen, right? So in some walks of life, you then call it alchemy, transmuting lead into gold, or taking something that wasn't really a thing, taking a concept and putting it into fruition. And this is what I'm wanting to plant a thought with you. The money relationship that you have, this is the idea I'm wanting you to think about. Where do you think some of your relationship with money comes from? I grew up, money doesn't grow on trees. We're not so fortunate like the Joneses, right? But when we get older, we start doing retarded things like, I'm going to upgrade my car because my neighbor needs to see that, hey, me, I'm that girl, I'm Chiquita, I am whatever. And we start missing the point of how we have flourished in life. There are times when you'll hear saying, if money grows in trees, can you go outside and shake the tree? And there's sarcasm that's laden with that. And then you start realizing how you act around money. And I recall a very, very personal story when my brother was in an accident. The RAF, the Road Accident Fund, paid him out, and he squandered that money. And I sat and I wondered, why would he squander so much money? And I realized his relationship with money was always spending. So if you've got a spending mentality, you will always, or to a large degree, maybe not, let me not use absolutes, to a large degree, you'll always let that money go. If you're used to thinking in 30-day cycle, You'll actually think, I've got all of this money, it will last me until payday. And subconsciously, in the back of your mind, you will be thinking, when I get paid, I will have money again. And then we get into this point of doing the same thing over and over and over. So if we get this large sum of money, just imagine the thing that we do over and over and over without breaking free from it. And this is why I talk tonight about the money mistakes to avoid, because so easily we can get pulled into this world. So easily we can get sucked into, hey, but this, hey, but that. My question is, the financial risks that we are so scared to take, some people became brave when money comes to them that they didn't budget for, and then they will say, but I didn't have this money before, so I might as well take this risk, and if I lose it, I lose it. And then I worry, because what if our language would translate into, I didn't have this money before, I really wanted to take this huge financial risk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out a certain strategy and use the money wisely, but I want to also do X, Y, Z, or keep coffers, or do whatever the case is, and strategically use this money. A very different conversation to, so if I lose it all, I lose it because I didn't have it to begin with. So what is your relationship that you have with money? What is it, the thing that you keep saying to yourself over and over and over again about money? Is it that money doesn't grow on trees? Is it that only rich people have money? Is it that I'll never get to heaven because, you know, the Bible says, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle and a rich man to enter? Are these some of the things that we've got in the back of our minds? Is it the other well-known scripture that I believe is abused, which is money is the root of all evil, whereas it's the love of money that is the root of all evil? And if being a Bible school student, having gone through Bible theology, when you really go back into where that scripture actually comes from, it's not necessarily the love as what we understand the love of money being. It's actually the lack of money that is the root of all evil. Because if God didn't want us to have, why is he telling us that in my Father's house there are many mansions? Why talk about mansions when he doesn't believe that we should have money? These are the different things I questioned over a period of time, and I started sitting and thinking, saying, hey, Bana, but my current space where I am right now, my reality right now is this is how I'm thinking. But I don't want to think like this anymore. I want to think differently. I want to decide that I'm not going down the street and taking a left, right? I'm going down the street and I'm taking a right because I understand where I am. I'm flying to London from Joburg and not just booking a ticket from Durban to London, because I'll never get there. Why? Because I'm not in Durban. I'm in Gauteng. I'm in Johannesburg. And when I take all of these analogies, I'm really wanting it to be so practical that you actually say, okay, I see you, chick. You're making some sense to me. So I trust that this particular video on making money, or rather money mistakes to avoid, and literally understanding what these money mistakes are and how to avoid them, has been of benefit to you, because it certainly has been of benefit to me, sharing from my experiences in life, sharing from not having, sharing from just thinking, oh my days, shouldn't I have known this before? And then reminding myself, it's okay, right? It's okay. Why? Because Monday, I may have gone down the street and turned left. Tuesday, I may have done the same thing. Wednesday, I may have gone down the street, turned left, and avoided the hole altogether. And I did the same thing on Thursday, but on Friday, I decided, come on, man, there's a lot more between these two ears. And can I not come up with a different strategy to address the things I may not have known, and to bring things into my space that I really would love to learn and grow from? So I trust that the first video on the money series is something that's going to hit home to you. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your perspective. I'd love to hear You know, what else would you like to learn and know about money? Because I'm going to be going on this particular tangent for the next while. And I think more so now, more than ever. Why? Because right now we're in a season where there's bonuses coming through. We've come through a pandemic. How are you handling your relationship with money? Are you investing in yourself, or are you just upgrading your living circumstances only to frustrate yourself next year this time? And going into this particular money series, the way I see things, God willing, I'm wanting to literally close off the year. Every other video you hear about, yes, sometimes it will be about property, but a lot more about being aware of your relationship with money. Because this is the silly season that we call it. This is the season that people just buy and click, click, click. Why? Because I've got to buy. And then we look at January. And then what do we do with that? What are the mistakes that we can avoid making in January? Think about it, doing the same thing over and over. Is your year end the same over and over, and your January the same year in and year out? Are you aware of some of the habits that you have? Maybe it may not be your cappuccino habits, like I had cappuccino habits, but it is it's a what, December habit. It's a November Black Friday is here habit. It's a December what habit. What does it look like in your space? Are you only busy with your only one income stream, and you think at this time of the year, yo, I need to chill. I need to chill, Miguel, because the whole year we've been on lockdown and it's been stressful. And Jen, you need to understand me, it's been stressful. Or are you going into a period? For me, December is a period of projecting so far, and I've got so many of my strategies that I know that in December, day in and day out, I'm going to shape and mold and make sure that things are proper, because for the first quarter I'm already sorted out. I'm going to be looking at, from after the first quarter, what does it look like, but I'm going to do that in December. So how are you going to change tomorrow? What are you going to be doing today to change your tomorrow? So again, I do go on a tangent. It's just, I'm so very excited with this next series. Yes, I'll be talking about property. For those that are joining the property wholesaling course from tomorrow to Thursday, it's going to be off the chain. And for those of you that are looking for, hey, Jen, by the way, I still need to do your one-day training. I'll be doing it on the 5th of December for a full day online so that we can connect and just be in each other's space the full day. And can you imagine if you start off your December by investing in yourself and looking at what all 2020 bring you, you'll be taking that skill and putting it into fruition. What does it look like to you? So take good care, be blessed, sanitize, do the most. And you know what? I want to say, take everything that you are and where you're going to, take it to another level in 2020. Let's not avoid our own selves, right? So I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. God bless you. Hey, Mpumelelo, trust you're doing well. I wonder, will I be seeing you tomorrow? Just teasing you a little bit, but not so much. Take care. Chat soon.